Howdy boys, Paul with you here today. I gotta answer one of your questions. You guys keep asking, how do I price, or should I say quote, a run? My customers, my regulars. Well, I found a couple minutes here. Not necessarily 2 minutes, but I have a little bit of time on my hands where I'll be driving. Be picking up one of my drivers from the airport. Here we go. It's very common in the industry to do rate per mile, meaning someone's like, hey, this is paying $2 a mile. Here, let me try to fix my camera. XYZ is paying $2 a mile, $3 a mile, $5 a mile, and that's great and all. It's very common. It's a very simple formula, but it's 80% of the time a wrong formula to use. And what I mean as a sole formula in the formulation of your quote. So this is what I keep in mind. First things first, where's this thing picking up from and where's it delivering? Second thing is, where's my guy most likely going to be coming from? Meaning, if this is like a 2 week ahead deal or a month ahead quote, the guy's going to need it in a month or whatever. Most likely, where's my guy going to be at, And then you do the miles. So here's a prime example, and I'll differentiate them quite a bit for you so you guys see where I'm going with this. So I get let's say a common one, Spokane to Seattle, right? Well, that's 300 miles. Average Joe's happy at $2 a mile. That's 600 miles. Or excuse me, it's $600 for 300 miles. Well, that's not bad. Great, you got $2 a mile, you get to trucking. Well, actually, in this time and age, that's not the best rate, but you really didn't lose your tail on it, really. Because you land in Seattle, you offload, and you reload nearby. Now, let's say we do Spokane to Pasco. That's half the miles. Not even half. Well, it's right about half the miles. $2 a mile is $300. Well, that's great, but you are losing your tail at $300 if that's what you're going to quote on that run. Absolutely ridiculously rated. And guess what? Most of the brokers are going to tell you that's wrong. You're getting $2 a mile, you should be very happy about this, and yada yada. Dude, save your speech. Keep it simple. You're running a hot shot, you're very limited. You can't load up 4 of these loads, you know what I mean? Most likely you'll get lucky if you get 2 of these in there. So what does Paul do? This is where I'm talking about time. This is where I'm talking about where you're picking up when you're landing. Picking up out of Spokane's not an issue. 90% of my guys is home base, so we're perfectly fine in Spokane. Tri-Cities, Pasco, whatever you want to call it. Pasco's middle of nowhere. Unless you got something lined up in Pasco, your $300 rate, oh my goodness, my camera's way off. Your $300 rate is just pathetic. You are losing your tail on that run. To equate the $600 run that I've spoken about, so let's talk about Seattle run. I said $600 is not that great, but you're not losing your tail on it. Is about a $550 run to Tri-Cities or Pasco, whatever you want to call it. Guys, it's called Tri-Cities because you got like 3 little cities on top of each other. You got Pasco, Kennewick, and Richland. So all 3 are the nearly 5 miles radius of each other. So they're stacked one on another. So when I say Tri-Cities or Pasco, it's the same exact place. Anyway, so to be equivalent, you got to be at 550. Paul, but that makes no logical sense. Oh yeah, sir, it makes all the logical sense in the world, because you're going to load up in Spokane, you're going to offload in Tri-Cities, and you're coming back empty, most likely. 90% you're coming back empty. Sir, you just did your full run to Seattle. All you didn't do is you didn't haul that weight for all that distance. So to equate those two, they would be equivalent 550 to Tri-Cities, which is 140 miles, 150 miles, whatever the case is, or your Seattle run was just under 300 miles. So, what the heck's going on with me? Sorry, guys. It is midday and I'm yawning. Something's off. Oh, I didn't have my coffee. That's what's up. Anyways, so now that's first stage is the Seattle run. Pretty simple. You got some miles in there. Second stage is you got that landing part. Now, how do you quote those out in the boonies, middle of nowhere, short runs. Those get really expensive. I mean, at least for my company. Those get really expensive. I'm going to have to bill the guy my minimal rate. Let's just say a couple bucks a mile, right? Shoot, how can I say it? So let's say I have to deadhead 150 miles from Spokane to load up a tractor and haul it 50 miles. So we're at 200 miles. That is away from Spokane. Well, at 200 miles away from Spokane, middle of Montana, I got to come right back home at 200 miles. Most likely. That's a 400-mile trip. Now, my 400-mile trip just turned into a full day's worth of work. I can't charge $600. I got to charge, a much higher rate, whatever your price tag would be. But at that rate, I'll be about $950-ish. Keeping the industry in mind, it's really crappy right now, so you don't want to quote unquote gouge your customer. But when you put $950 to a 50-mile tow, that is pathetic, it is ridiculous, and it's unethical. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And when I have to quote those out, I tell my customers, man, you really want to look somewhere else, someone nearby, because I'm at this price. And some of them say, no worries, you get it done. And others are like, yeah, that is pretty high. I'm like, I'm not going to argue with you, but I ain't going to gift you my time either. I'll shoot another example at you. We got a dam probably about 120 miles from Spokane. 120-mile run. How much do you think is right to charge? Well, you're going on a dam. You're gonna take some darn good time being on that dam. You're gonna kill more than half a day, and you're gonna tell me 240. Let's just say all miles. 120 there, 120 back. That's 240, and you're going to say 480 is a good rate? Absolutely not. You are losing your tail on that run. See where I'm going with this? Time, guys. Time is very important. You can't just do miles. You got to know what it takes you to operate your setup. You got to know what it takes you to run your setup. So, is it just the driver? Excuse me, are you just a driver? Are you a company owner? Are you a company manager? It's just, you got to take everything in consideration. And that's why the smaller companies have an easier time surviving these hard times, because they have a lot less overhead. If you're an owner-op and you're just, bidding, doing the job yourself, well, shoot, you could do a lot better rates than I'm doing, because I got people to feed. I got overhead. If I told you my communication skills, my communication bill just in my office alone, y'all gonna say it's absurd. I mean, I'm in the thousands. Well, not thousands, but I'm well over $1,000 just in internet and a phone bill in my office. I mean, I don't run that big of a company, dude. So when you put everything in perspective, you really gotta keep your ducks in a line, because even a small company like mine could lose its tail real quick. But we have a better, easier time surviving than the big dogs, those really big trucking companies. And you, single owner operator, have a lot better chance than I do surviving these hard times. Luckily, gracefully, God has been very graceful in mercy. Yeah, He's been very merciful towards me. This industry is no joke, and it's hitting us pretty hard right now as far as construction dying out for the winter, and we rely on other sources, meaning the load board and the brokerage and all that shebang to keep us afloat. And it's hitting us because we can't haul that construction equipment as often, or we can't haul that. We don't seem to haul that steel as much. So I'm bringing this question because it's a very real question for a lot of you guys trying to make it out there. I mean, a lot of trucking companies shut down this year alone. So anyways, boys, yes, mileage is important, your cents per mile, whatever you want to call it, dollar per mile rate, your rate per mile. But also don't forget your time, because just because you got to do a 50-mile run doesn't mean it's going to take you 50 minutes or that it's going to take you a couple hours. No, it's going to take you a lot more, depending where it's at. If it's in your backyard, then yeah, just set a minimal. Set a minimal run. And so that's when I was talking about dollar per mile is a joke, and you could lose your butt on. And sometimes you got to charge $4 or $5 a mile, and other times you're you're fine with $1 a mile. You just got to know what you're up against and where you're going. You know, if you're going towards a $4, $3, $5, $12 a mile run, and you still got to do that distance, and you have the time and opportunity to grab $1 a mile and something simple, something easy, why not? Just why not grab it and go? But there's one reason why you shouldn't do it. It hurts the overall trucking industry. So there's a backside to it. You know, everybody says don't haul the cheap freight. That does do its number. But also, you know, if you do it once in a blue moon and everyone else understands the structure of that, then those guys that really need their stuff moved, they're not going to be playing this game with you, $1 a mile or whatever. Shoot, I've seen pennies. I think I've heard 30 or 40 cents a mile recently. Loads being posted and offered, and that's pretty ridiculous. Anyways, boys, as I said, I showed up to the airport. I got to stay focused and find my buddy. Good old buddy. And, yeah. Hopefully this video helps you, owner ops. You know, pretty much towards them boys, you know, one-man show trying to make it happen. Just do your calculation for time, because at times that $200 load is a sweet deal, or at times that $500 load is a waste of time. Anyways, simplicity. That's all it is. Anyways, guys, hopefully this helps. Let me know in the comment section more or less of these long talking videos of Paul. I'm just trying to share my experience. You know, it really hurts putting so much time into a company and then seeing people shut them down because miscalculated. I got a personal story, and I don't know if I'll ever share. I keep saying that one day I'll share it, but hopefully I will. I had some family I had to split ways with, and anyways, God bless you, family, and as always, guys, have a mighty fine day. God bless y'all. Bye.